Hello, it's Alex. Welcome back to my channel. Talking about sewing as always, and I'm back in the shed. Seemed to work quite well last time. It's Sunday morning, so hopefully it'll be a bit quieter. Anyway, just want to say thank you so much for everyone who's subscribed and some great suggestions with regard to things to watch and podcasts. I'm slowly making my way through all the podcasts. I might do a list at some point. And there's been some good sewing TV. Obviously here in the UK we've been fortunate enough to have the Great British Sewing Bee back, which is brilliant, and for those of us that are in the north of England it's nice to have somebody that a lot of us have met on there, and that's Ali. She organises the Dewsbury meetup in Yorkshire, so it's nice to have someone that you know to really root for. So really enjoying that. And also we've had Making the Cut on Amazon Prime, which is Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn, formerly of Project Runway. I've really enjoyed that as well. So it's been some good sewing TV going on at the moment. And I'm also really looking forward to, in the UK on Channel 4 on Monday night, not sewing related, but Grayson Perry, the artist, is doing a series to get us all creating art. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that one as well. So my top tip for anybody that's making scrubs is not to do what I did, which is overdo it and then burn out. I got to the point where I just didn't even want to see my sewing machine, which is daft. It's better to go slow and steady and just do what you can. Every little bit you can do is really appreciated. So yeah, it's important to take time out and do other things. So I have made myself a dress. I did exactly what I said I would do. I went to the pile of fabrics that I'd showed you and chose something that I've been saving and made a dress. So I'll show you that in a sec. And the other thing that's happened in the last week or two is that last Sunday it was my birthday, which is a bit odd in lockdown. But my son and my husband both gave me vouchers for independent online fabric shops, which is absolutely brilliant birthday present at the best of times, but great while you're in lockdown. So Jack bought me a voucher from Lamazi, which, you know, he's only 17. It's really sweet, isn't it? And Dave from Sew Me Sunshine. So that feels like a real treat. I haven't spent them yet. I'm going to kind of save them for severe temptation. I did see the new Atelier Brunette fabrics on Instagram last night. They're not kind of in the shops yet, but they could definitely tempt me. But yeah, that's a really nice present to have, and it was a really nice day despite not being able to go out and do anything. But other than that, I obviously have largely been making scrubs. And I decided to make a dress when I got to the point of wanting a break, because I know lots of people are saying that they're in kind of joggers and leggings and sort of, you know, leisure wear while they're stuck at home. And my view is do whatever makes you happy. But for me, I find that doesn't help my mood. I find I need to kind of get dressed, and I probably don't put a full face of makeup on or any of that kind of stuff. But at least if I'm dressed, I kind of feel like I'm kind of, yeah, it just helps my mood. It puts me in a better state. And I've definitely been wearing a lot of the things that I made for the Great Module. The chinos, which I'm wearing now, they've been on constant rotation really. I've been wearing them lots. And this shirt, or this blouse, which is the Wishing Girl blouse in the fabric from Lulu Designs, has been on rotation, as have all versions of the Monty shirt. All the 12 versions, including the one with the flaps. Yeah, that's actually been probably my most worn item. I mean, I've got 3 versions of it, but my most worn item, and I think I'll probably make some more. So it's, yeah, for me, putting kind of joggers on, it's not good for me. It's really not. So when I went to look at the fabrics, I decided that I wanted to make a dress, and most of those fabrics that I'd only got either 1.5 meters or 2 meters of. But the daffodil fabric that I had white, this one here, it's a viscose from Sew Me Sunshine, I'd got 3 meters of, which is a far more usable amount for a dress. So I had bought I bought a few patterns from Stylark last week or the week before, over Easter I think. They had a 20% off sale, and I'd bought a few patterns, including some dress patterns, and I went and had a look at them, and I was a bit torn. I wanted something sort of floaty, and because the fabric, it's not transparent at all, but because it's white, or predominantly white, I was worried about something, you know, it's not going to be suitable for anything too fitted. I wanted something wafty. So I've got 2 dresses. One is the Nova dress and one is the Montana, and they're fairly similar in that they've got a bodice and then sort of long floaty gathered waist skirt part. One is in tiers and one is just straight. And in the end, what I did was I made a bit of a mashup of the 2. I made the bodice from one, which is the one that has, it's a grown-on sleeve, but it's a slight cap sleeve, because I just thought that might be a little bit more wearable than totally sleeveless. It's only because arms. I know as the weather gets better, I'll get to the point where I don't mind having arms out. I'll be wearing shorts, but I'm not there yet. And so I just kind of felt a little bit more comfortable with something with a bit of sleeve to it. So I used the sleeved top or cap sleeve top and the tiered skirt. Because both skirts are gathered, it wouldn't really matter too much. And it worked really well. Actually, you know what? I think I'll go and put it on and then I'll come and tell you about it. So, here it is. I'm really happy with it. It's certainly a nice, floaty, airy summer dress. I don't feel that I need to worry about it being transparent in any way or translucent with the fabric being light because of the gathered skirt. It's fine. I probably next time might go back to the original bodice, only because that one has bust darts and this one doesn't, and I think that's because this is designed to be very big and oversized, and I did go down one size because I didn't want it to be too tent-like. So rather than me faffing around putting darts in this, which wouldn't be too difficult because, you know, I could make darts there quite easily and then swing them around to be bust darts. Maybe I could do a tutorial on that at some point, but I'm sure someone on YouTube's already done it. But rather than faffing around doing all that, I could just have used the original bodice and then added a bit more sleeve on to make it a bit more cap sleeve. So I'd probably do that next time. The only other thing I did was, of course, add pockets. And so a little bit, it's a bit frustrating really. So I figured that the pockets couldn't go on, where's the top tier? On the top tier, because that's up there around my waist. So I put them on the second tier down, and they're just a tiny, tiny bit too low. I kind of would almost need the pockets to be right there between the top and the second tier, which I wasn't going to faff around trying to work out how best to do that with the gathers and everything. Just thought that sounded like far too much like hard work. But that's just a little niggle. But the weirdest thing happened when I was making this, because I'd just got started. I was putting the top tier onto the bodice, and it made me realise how much I don't like doing gathers. And I thought, oh God, you know, I've got loads of this to do with all these tiers. It's hundreds of gathers. And I dug out the manual for my overlocker because I'd read that you could do gathers on an overlocker, and I'd given that a try and that was a disaster. So I just thought to myself, okay, just do it the usual way, you know, with the 2 rows of super loose stitching and then pulling it. And my biggest problem is trying to get them even. You know, I end up with bits clumped up and then flat bits, and anyway. So I was kind of thinking that through, and just by sheer coincidence I had remembered that a sewing friend had put on Instagram the night before that she had just started a YouTube channel, and her name is Sam Chandler, and you might know her on Instagram as Frugalissima. And just by coincidence, I thought, oh, I'll go and tune in and see how Sam's done, because you know, you want to support people you know that start out on YouTube. And she was doing a review of the book that goes alongside the new series of The Great British Sewing Bee. And she had made a dress which, by coincidence, has 3 tiers of fabric, just like this, with gathers. And she was also saying how much she doesn't like doing gathers, and she'd used a method using elastic. I'd never heard of this method, so I did exactly what Sam talked about doing in her video, and it worked brilliantly. So rather than me telling you, if you want to go find out and go give Sam some support, go check her out. I'll put a link below. She's a really nice lady, and she's just over the hills in Yorkshire. So that was brilliant timing. I found that method to work so much better than the pulling threads, especially by the time you get to that bottom tier down here. I mean, that is a lot of fabric down there, and trying to get those gathers all even would have been an absolute mare. So really recommend the elastic method if you're someone like me that doesn't really like doing gathers. But yeah, overall I really love the dress. I have got, I've not got them on now, I've got at home, top of the garden, some yellow sandals, which I think I will wear with this because it will pick up the daffs. In fact, my plan for today or tomorrow is to do the great switch, you know, where you kind of pack up the winter clothes and put them away and dig out the kind of spring summer things. So I'm quite intrigued to see what I've got in there, because I know there are things that I made last year that I've forgotten about. And the main thing I think I'm going to be doing for the next, well, certainly in the next week, is I think that I'm going to be moving my sewing room. Not 100% decided, but our oldest daughter is back with us, obviously because of coronavirus. And when she went to uni, a few months before she went to uni, she swapped bedrooms with her sister. And so she is now in a really small bedroom, because at the time she thought she'd only be back for holidays and it wouldn't really matter. But it's tough on her, you know. I think when you've moved out of home, you don't really expect to be back home for any length of time. And she's in it's a tiny bit bigger than a box room, but it's at the top of the house. Our house is a Victorian house, and I suspect it would have been like the room for the maid. Trust me, we don't live in a mansion, and we certainly don't have a maid. But I think it would have been like maid of all work's room. You know, it's got a little Victorian fireplace in there. But it's hard. So I have offered to swap over. So I think I'm going to spend the next week sort of setting up a new camp, which I'm not that sad about. I think it's the right thing to do for her. I'll certainly have more light up there than I've got down in the basement, and hopefully she doesn't have so many spiders, which she's going to have to get used to. But yeah, that's going to take up my time for the next week, and I'm still going to be sewing scrubs, although I'm fast running out of thread, so I need to do a bit of research to find out where I can get thread from. And I'm going to make an effort to keep sewing for myself as well, and go back to carry on with what I said I would do, which is make my way through that pile of fabrics that I've been saving for best. So when we do move rooms, or if we move rooms, I'll take some photographs, I'll show you that. I'll also show you the bits and pieces that I've unearthed clothing wise from last summer, and yeah, in the meantime, all I can say is, you know, do whatever you need to do to get through this. There's no one gets any medals for sewing extra things or creating amazing works of art. If you need to stay in your pyjamas all day and eat biscuits, just do that. I may have eaten some carbohydrates in the last few weeks, having been on a low carb diet for months, but I've still been good. I've not drunk a drop of alcohol this year. But yeah, do whatever you need to do to get through it, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye bye.